class, play with poise, do whatever it takes.
So I guess we can truthfully say, as we get ready for this game, these two teams still don't like each other.
There's always going to be excitement as it relates to that. And, I mean, the whole world knows when we're playing and who we're playing game one.
But how do you explain that rivalry to your squad?
It's important to know the great events, the great games, the great players that have come before you, because then you have a sense of honor and duty to the program you're at. And so we'll understand that. We understand the challenge that the University of Miami will present, but we look forward to that competition. That's why we're in this game.
Keep it simple. Don't try to look too far forward. Don't look too far back. We didn't come here to change the past. We came to change the present.
We're live, Dara. Thank you for joining us, everybody. This is episode 1 of CaneSport's Countdown to Kickoff. I'm Noah Gulley.
I'm Dara, Karadsheh.
And we're not just smiling and happy and excited because it's episode 1 of the show, but because the University of Miami has a huge matchup this coming week, Sunday at the Hard Rock Stadium against our longtime rival, Notre Dame. A little background on both teams. The University of Miami and Notre Dame are coming into this season as top 10 teams in the nation. Notre Dame slated at number 6, Miami at number 10, and both of these teams will come into the season with new quarterbacks and new defensive coordinators. But with that said, Dara, that kind of cues you up. Can you please tell me about Mario Cristobal and the University of Miami's new starting quarterback?
Yes, big man on campus. Listen, if you don't know the name Carson Beck, you probably don't watch college football, and I don't really know why you're watching this. With that being said, new quarterback incoming from the University of Georgia. We've seen a lot of good stuff from him in the past. Specifically, his 2023 season was amazing. They had a 12-0 start, I believe, went to the playoffs that year. They even made it to the SEC championship last year, where he ended up getting injured versus Texas. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But overall, this guy's had an amazing college career so far. Noah's going to tell us more about that. With that being said, I think that a lot of people want to discount how good this guy actually is. Listen, he's not going to be Cam Ward. That's a given. You can't just, nobody's going to be Cam Ward. You know what I mean? Like, it's like not really a comparison.
I'm sorry to break it to you people. You're not going to find, most likely you will not find a college quarterback this season that will resemble what Cam Ward did last season. It was historic. It's a reason that he went number 1 overall. Sorry to cut you off, as you were saying.
No, by all means. With that being said, a lot of people are concerned about, we're bringing in this guy from the SEC, from UGA, bringing him and putting him into an ACC scheme. He's never played with these players before. It's under a completely new, coaching staff. But I feel like that's more of an advantage than a disadvantage. He's had more experience playing against arguably the toughest defenses in all of college football. And I think you look at him, he's accurate. He gets the ball out very quickly. He makes good decisions. He's a very intelligent player when you actually watch him. And all of that with the actual talent that he's got with his arm. I mean, he's had some really amazing throws before. And, I'm feeling confident with him. And if he establishes a good connection with his incoming receivers, we've got really big names, honestly, some returners in JoJo Trader and Ray Joseph, and new freshman Malachi Toney, who you guys need to look out for him. He might not be starting since he's a freshman, but this kid is really good, a Miami native, so look out for him. Overall, I think Carson Beck's talent, in combination with, from what we're understanding, he is getting along very well with his receivers and overall fitting into Shannon Dawson's offensive scheme. As long as he can continue that and bring that to the game, I think he's going to be set.
And then just going off of that, I know we don't like to do the comparisons, Dara, here, but we have to because it is the story that's been going on for the last few months. Everybody's talking about, Carson Beck coming in, Cam Ward going out. Cam Ward won the number 1 pick last year, and Carson Beck has to somewhat fill those shoes, but as we said, these two are not the same quarterback. So, everybody, let's stop comparing them.
Enough.
Please, enough. But with that said, since he's arrived, he's received nothing but praise from the coaching staff and the rest of his teammates. It gives fans like myself and like yourself a lot of confidence that we're going to come into the season and have a very good time and with a lot of cohesion, you know? But with that said, you know, but with that said, you already mentioned how Beck had a little bit of setbacks, and that's why he's been receiving some of the criticism he has over the last year. But those setbacks weren't all Beck's fault. We already talked about it earlier today. Everybody's been talking about how Beck had more interceptions last year, more turnovers, but they don't talk about how his receivers and his wide receiver room led all of college football in drops.
36, to be exact.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. So I don't know about you, Dara, but if I'm in a football game right now and I'm the quarterback and you're the wide receiver and I'm dropping back making dimes, but you're dropping everything, I'm not trying to receive all the blame for when everything doesn't look great. But with that said, Carson Beck, when he was at Georgia, he is the third Georgia quarterback ever to have 3,000-yard passing seasons in back-to-back seasons. You mentioned that he went to the SEC championship. He did that back-to-back seasons. And by the way, this is not Carson Beck's first time that he has to fill the shoes of a legendary quarterback. You know, when he came in 2023 and had that, you're laughing, but hey, legendary Georgia and longtime Georgia quarterback Stetson Bennett. He had to come in.
Long time.
Very, very long time. We love Stetson Bennett. But with that said, he had to come in and fill the shoes there. And in 2023, when he had that pressure of coming in to fill Stetson Bennett's shoes, that's when he had his best season. We saw the setbacks last year. We talked about why. But we're coming into this season, and to be honest, we talked about how there's not another Cam Ward in college football this year. But if you're going to take another option and try to replace that guy, I think we got the best option.
Yeah, for anybody who's not happy with this decision, I just want to know, who would you have chosen to fill Cam Ward's shoes?
Fill the comments, please. We'd love
Please
to
let
hear.
me know. Yeah, no. I would love to know. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about quarterbacks. Let's talk about Notre Dame. Okay, so they had two options in C.J. Carr and Kenny Minchey at Notre Dame. It was we've been following this, obviously, getting ready for the season throughout the summer, and you know, it was pretty much a toss-up between who it was going to be. Yeah, no one's doing that. Yeah,
waves up and down. Yep, C.J. Carr, Minchey. Who is it going to be? But sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. So we weren't really sure who it was going to be, and as recent as literally like last week that it was announced that C.J. Carr eventually won the job, and for a while first it was going to be him. Literally the next week it was looking like it was going to be Kenny Minchey. So with that being said, it could change as close as Saturday night. You know, we don't know eventually, and we don't know how evenly they're going to be splitting game time on Sunday. So our team needs to be prepared for whatever that may be. But if we're focusing on CJ Carr right now, he's more of a traditional pocket passer, allegedly. Noah's got more for us on that later. But from what we've seen, listen, this kid had 4 snaps in his collegiate career so far. So if he's technically a freshman, he's played a little bit before. Very inexperienced, to say the least, especially when you want to compare him to somebody like Carson Beck, who played in the SEC. That being said, though, he was a 4-star recruit out of high school, a very aggressive downfield passer. If he decides to go that route and, not take the Kenny Minchey where he's a little bit more unpredictable, sometimes he runs, or if CJ Carr ends up running, if he's solely focusing on that traditional deep passing downfield, what that's essentially going to have to look like for Miami is that they really get the defensive backs, safeties, cornerbacks all involved in basically just guarding those receivers. But, we've got a lot of defensive improvements that we're definitely going to touch on. We need to touch on. We need to touch on. But another person we're going to have to guard is Jeremiah Love. Noah, take it away.
Well, yeah, Dara, we have to talk about RB1. There was 2 main reasons why Notre Dame made it to the national championship last season. And it was because of their stellar defense and their phenomenal run game. And that run game was led by none other than Jeremiah Love. He's the #1 ranked running back coming into this season by pretty much any media or sports account you can find. And the true reason for that is because he has home run speed. He's an athletic, elite athlete. And we've seen the big plays that he can have. I'm kind of nervous coming into this Saturday. I can't lie. We saw the 98-yard TD in the playoffs last year against Indiana. But other than that, his forced missed tackle rate last season was at 38%, second amongst all Power 4 running backs. As a true sophomore last season, he was the second most valuable running back by the wins above average metric. So I have to add this as well, though. He has a new book coming out as well. It's not just the running. I know this is a Miami show. I'm kind of hyping up Jeremiah Love right now, but he has a new book coming out. It's Jeremonstar, because he's a comic book fan. It's called Jeremonstar. So all I'm going to say, if we're hearing stories on Monday about Jeremonstar, then It's probably not going to bode well for Miami.
He really played up this joke and then it just God, the Jared Monstar joke was so bad that we had to deal with some tough technical difficulties. All right. With that being said,
yes,
we got to rein in the Jared Monstar, and we're going to do that with our new defensive coordinator, Corey Heatherman, coming in from the University of Minnesota and bringing with him his infamous 4-2-5 scheme. Now, he said that this consists of 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs, a nickel package or coverage. And he said before that it's purely situational, really predicated on whatever the situation is at hand. They don't really focus too much on the positions and strict positioning of the players in this scheme. That being said, it could make you nervous potentially as a fan, not knowing exactly. I mean, that's a last-minute decision that they're making when this happens. But then again, a positive thing for, looking at the offensive side, they're not going to be able to predict whatever Corey Heatherman has up his sleeve. So,
yeah, and then going off of that, I got to admit, Dara, I'm not very nervous about it because, after last season, it's only up from where our defense was. And
amen to that.
Corey Heatherman, he's bringing over that 4-2-5 defense that you just broke down. So beautiful, I might add.
Oh, thank you.
But he's bringing it over, and it's a great defense because it allowed Minnesota to be top 10 in both points allowed and yards allowed last season. So I have a lot of confidence in what the defense looks like this year, but it's not just Corey Heatherman who's the new addition. We have some new transfers coming in, and we have some returners returning as well. I know you spoke to Mohamed Touré and Francis Mauigoa. Could you tell me a little about them?
Yeah, so I didn't get to speak to them directly, but if that's what you meant. But essentially, Francis Mauigoa, listen, if you're a Canes fan, you know who this guy is. His brother played here too. They're big, literally, Miami guys. With that being said, he's a all ACC honors, All-American, offensive tackle returning. And then we've also got Ruben Bain Jr., who's also another standout defensive player. But a new transfer that we've got is actually Mohamed Touré. If you're an ACC fan, maybe you don't know of him. But essentially, he was an inside linebacker at Rutgers, and he basically led their defense. He did very well there for his tenure. I don't even know them. What's the Rutgers mascot?
Could tell you,
know?
But I know,
Well,
I know ours.
He was. Hell yeah.
That's the Ibis, by the way. We're not the Hurricanes.
Okay, random Miami fact for you. Anyway, when he was playing at Rutgers, he was set up for this season to be their highest paid football player. Might even have been set up to be the highest paid athlete at their whole school. Would that be? He was. Okay. So, he basically said, it wasn't about the money. If it was about the money, then I would have stayed at Rutgers. But he essentially alluded to wanting a different environment, a different culture, and a different vibe. And to him, that led him to Miami. He really felt like this was the place for him. And probably a part of that is Corey Heatherman. He'll be working directly under him. And Heatherman did coach him for some time at Rutgers. So they've already got that connection established. And that'll be something pretty exciting. And then we've also got this transfer, David Blay from LA Tech,
Gotta give a little
Louisiana Tech.
Gotta give a shout out to David Blay. I have a lot of hopes for him this coming up season. I think he's a great addition as a tackle to this team, to be honest. So we have a lot of good transfers coming in. Defense, offense. Got the new D coordinator. The U's back there. I'm feeling it. That the U is back, but we have to talk about Notre Dame now. It's a great team, great opposition. So we had a weak schedule last year, but this game really has a lot of implications, possibly on all of college football playoffs and definitely the ACC.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
mascot is a Scarlet Knight. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Donnie.
you're good.
Yeah,
thank you.
Donnie.
Shout out.
You might hear, shout out Donnie. You might hear us say "roll Donnie" or shout out Donnie every now and then. But he's the best camera and audio man in the business.
That's so funny because I was like, I know it's like red something, but I couldn't. Okay, Rutgers Scarlet Knights. My apologies to Rutgers. Anyways, moving on. We're talking about the Fighting Irish right now. This is a scary team. Yes. And I think that even though we are Miami fans, this is a Miami show. I think, you can't be ignorant.
We're objective, right?
We're objective journalists.
We tell it how it is.
Yeah. And
this is a good football team.
This is a good football team. It's a scary football team.
Yes.
Their defense, couple of stats here. Last season, they had the number 3 secondary, number 5 linebacker room, and number 9 offensive lineman room. Now, look at that 2024 team. They made it to, this was a playoff team.
Yeah.
They were very young. at the time. And now they're basically all coming back. They're returning 11 starters. That's really crazy compared to what we've got going on. But hey, we don't get intimidated.
Nope.
We get inspired,
Yes.
right? That was good. That was so off the rip. All right.
A little bar.
Anyway, so we touched on CJ Carr. He's only played 4 snaps in his collegiate career. I'm not too worried about that guy. I think we got that guy.
But I do want to touch on the whole CJ Carr thing a little because we had mentioned about the competition between him and Minchie, but the whole news around the Minchie versus Carr battle out of training camp was that CJ Carr was the guy that's the prototypical passing quarterback, and Minchie was supposed to be the dual threat, and that was the difference. By the way, I will say Marcus Freeman didn't sound too confident in any of them throughout this entire process. He was trying to pick between them. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it was a little wishy-washy.
Over at Miami.
Oh, yeah.
With that said, the whole narrative about CJ Carr just being your prototypical passing quarterback and Minchie being the dual threat, it's kind of misleading because our very own Luke Chaney, shout out to Luke Chaney at CaneSports, he found this stat the other day that CJ Carr actually had more rushing yards in high school than Kenny Minchie. So I think it's a little misleading, some of the storylines that have been coming out, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see CJ Carr have some of those unpredictable off-the-cuff plays that he can break when the plays go awry. And yeah.
He's got an ability to extend the plays.
Yes, he has an ability to extend the play. Thank you. You finished up my sentence there, and that takes me to the running backs, okay? I already touched on Jeremiah Love, Jermon Star, but I have to talk about his backup, and I feel bad calling him a backup because he's actually a really, really good player. But Jadarian Price, he was with Jeremiah Love last year, and we honestly have to expect for them to split carries come into this game. Jadarian Price honestly might hurt Jeremiah Love's at the Heisman this year because they're both really good backs. And I'd assume that they're trying to keep Jeremiah Love a little bit more healthy this season because we saw last year in the playoffs that he was a little banged up and that made his rushing yards go down towards the end. One last thing to say. That the difference between us bringing in Corey Heatherman as our new defensive coordinator, yes, we listed the accolades that he picked up when he was at Minnesota. But the difference is Notre Dame is losing that in which they had in Al Golden. Al Golden was the defensive coordinator last year, and he won the Broyles Coaching Award, which is awarded to the top assistant in college football. That guy left the NFL. They're bringing in a new guy. Not going to say he's not as good, but I'm saying we got to see. We got to see. I'm feeling pretty good about our prospects. We're not going to know. The new defensive coordinator, to put on respect on his name, it's Chris Ash. He's coming over from Texas. But it's going to be a lot of different things figuring out for these teams. These teams really don't know what they're going to get into this Sunday. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I want to touch on that for a second because, all right, so Chris Ash, that's a little bit of a tongue twister. Chris Ash is coming in from Texas. He's coming from an SEC scheme. Carson Beck is very well seasoned in playing against SEC defenses, so we can definitely expect that this might be a very even matchup. That being said, Mario Cristobal is certainly not intimidated by the Fighting Irish. He's got a lot of confidence in the work ethic and just overall integrity and teamwork of his team. Let's take a look at what he said.
We are driven by a common goal. You know, everyone has individual goals, but this team is very purpose-driven, and they want to win. And I think because of that, you know, we feel confident that their responses in the tough situations will be legitimate ones of a winning football team.
Yeah, I mean, Mario Cristobal is not an easily impressed guy, but he's clearly very impressed by the work ethic and just overall talent of his players, and I'm sure that we will be too come Sunday night. But now, if you're watching this, I'm going to need you to lock in.
Yes.
All right?
Yes,
Eyes up here.
I'm actually very excited.
Noah's dialed. Noah's sweating bullets over here. It's
Dara,
time for
Dara,
Take
I'm not
for
sweating
Take.
at all.
Oh.
Cool and collected, guys. Start listening to me because what she says for the next 3 minutes, it does not matter. Only listen to me because this is the Take for Take. We're going to be keeping a tally of this every single season. I want to see how big my win margin starts to increase over the season there, but we got to talk about the 3 keys for Miami's success this Sunday. So I'm going to begin defensive improvements. We talked about this earlier. It's only room to improve from last season.
I mean, you're taking the easy way out. This is your number one.
No,
Go ahead. No, by all means.
It's my turn. It's my turn. Okay. But defensive improvements, okay, they got to make the step up. So he brought in a new defensive coordinator, Corey Heatherman, for this reason. He's bringing in the accolades from his time at Minnesota, He has the 4-2-5 defense. He's given us a lot of confidence. Apparently, you say this is the easy way out, but I'm going to say the easy way to win this game is to pick it up on defense. With that said, Dara, we can't give up all those points that we did last season, but I'm going to move on to number 2, okay? The second most important key for Miami to win this game is Carson Beck and him finding the rhythm and cohesion with his new wide receiver group. We're going to see a very good running game out of Miami, returning 3 guys from last year. We're going to have a 3-deep backfield, but for us to win this game, Carson Beck is going to have to find that comfortability or just connection with his wide receivers. It was seemingly that Cam Ward knew where Restrepo was going to end up at the end of last season. He knew where all these guys were going to be even when the play broke down. We just have to see if Carson Beck has made those type of relationships and that type of chemistry with his team coming into this year. And then my third point, Dara. You don't seem too amused right now, but whatever. I'll try and distract myself. But my third point, Miami's O-line. This game is going to be won at the line of scrimmage. 2 dominant O-lines and 2 dominant D-lines, but I'm going to focus on Miami's O-line right now. We're bringing back Francis, who you already mentioned earlier, and Mario Cristobal, O-lineman himself. He's O-line oriented, and we got to come into this game and we got to run the ball and hammer it down Notre Dame's throat. It's the only way.
We got to run the ball.
Run the ball.
Run the ball. What? Run the ball.
I see what you're saying now.
My key takeaway that you should focus on is the defense.
Noah.
Yes, Dara.
I just got to say, I actually agree with a lot of what you just said. So I'm not going to get way too...
Shocker.
You're such a diva. All right. I'm not going to get way too into the weeds about all the specifics. But you're number 1. I'm going to have to disagree with you there. Okay. But before I get to that, let me go into my number 2 and 3, just so we can establish the record. All right. My number 2 was going to be the defense. All right. Okay. Last year, we averaged 44 points per game, but gave up an average of 25 per game. And that alone, when you look back at, number 1, a pretty relatively easy strength of schedule, we're giving up 25 points per game and scoring 44. Look at how much harder Cam Ward and the offense had to work to make it to the finish line.
It's almost like
I'm literally just... this is my number 2. You haven't heard my number 1 yet, so can you let me cook?
Yes.
All right. Number 3 was Beck and his relationship with his receivers. Again, not going to get into that. But number 1 is the most important because it touches everything else that we've just talked about. Cohesion. Let that sink in.
Please, tell me about cohesion then, Dara. Why is that the number 1 most important key to winning this game on Sunday? Cohesion.
Did you take chemistry in college, Noah?
I don't think I got a good score on that class. Yeah.
Checks out. And I'm going to teach you a chemistry lesson right now.
Okay, let's see.
I'm going to teach you a chemistry lesson right now. Do you know what an atom is?
An atom? Yes.
Atom.
Valence electrons.
No, dude. All right. Scrap that. You're not answering any questions. I'm teaching. You're listening.
Where is this going?
Just stay with me now. The atom is the building block of matter, of a substance.
Okay.
You remove an atom, it's a completely different substance. The same thing applies to this football team. Every single person, staff, trainer, offense, defense, everybody needs to be on the same page. Okay. If even 1 or 2, just a couple of people on that field are out of sync with the others, they're not aware of what the other is doing, disaster ensues. And we've seen this happen before. Listen, it doesn't matter how much we boost up the offense, the defense. We've got a new quarterback, a new defensive coordinator. None of this stuff matters if nobody is on the same page. The communication needs to be there. Also, from a coaching standpoint, the coaches need to have a good enough relationship with the football players that they're able to, know their strengths, be able to make snap decisions. When they get down to the wire, we've seen historically things like coaching and play calling and even as simple as not knowing where the quarterback's going to be, because we did see Cam Ward be a little bit unpredictable, cost us some big time moments. Now, we need to have a situation where everybody is cohesive.
Did you take grammar in college?
I'm a journalist, thank you. All right. When everybody is cohesive, excuse my flub there.
Yeah. But I will admit, Dara, that is a great point. I can't lie. It kind of ties into my second point.
This is what I'm saying. It touches. None of these things can happen if everybody's not.
Yeah, I do agree. You made a great point there, but this is why you're wrong, once again, and this is why I am right.
I've never heard that before.
Shocker. Once again, shocker. Full of shocks today, guys, but this is why you're wrong, Dara. Defense is the number one key for us to win this game. We need to improve on where we were last year. You talked about it. We gave up 44 points a game.
I agree, but they can't improve if they don't know what they're...
41 points in the Pop-Tart Bowl,
Oh my God,
Dara.
are you yelling at me?
42 points against Syracuse, Dara. These things can't happen, Dara. 42 points against Syracuse.
Pop-Tart Bowl.
41 points in the Pop-Tart Bowl. That can't happen. No. We started off 9-0 last season. Our schedule was not great. It was not a very highly touted schedule. We're going up against a national championship runner-up last year, a team ranked number 6 in the nation. Great offense, Jeremiah Star, CJ
God
Carr.
forbid, Jeremiah Star.
Exactly. We got to stop Jeremiah Star.
It's inevitable.
We got to contain him. With that said, that is why you're wrong, yo.
Dude, listen, I'm with you. All right, look at me.
Yep, thank you.
Look at me in the eyes. I'm with you, okay? That's a little too much eye contact.
Too much?
Listen, I always have been a believer that a good offense scores you the points and a good defense wins you the game. I'm not discounting that at all.
Yes.
What good is a defense if the quarterback can't get the ball to the receiver?
Hey, I agree with you. I fully agree.
But
with
I'm
you.
just saying, I'm
But
thinking
you
big
see,
picture.
No. Dara, I think
I'm thinking
you're
big.
missing the big picture of this segment. You see, you're missing the big picture because we're talking about our top 3 reasons. We're not talking about what's important, what's not.
This
important.
is the top 3.
We're saying what's the most important.
Okay. With
And
that,
the most important thing
is
the defensive improvements.
With that being said, can I just get one final point
Yes,
in?
I would love to hear it. What's your final point, Dara?
These teams are very evenly matched in terms of roster and talent. I would say maybe Notre Dame has an advantage in the defensive side, and we have an advantage in the quarterback side for all the reasons that we've talked about before. But because it's such an even matchup, because there's so much new talent, whether that's coordinators or players, there's a big question mark. Nobody can really say what's going to happen in this game. And that's why I think that the coaching, the decision making, both on that administrative side and on the player side, if they're able to call an audible or, do something off the rip, that's going to be the most important thing, is how they perform under pressure when they get down to the wire. And I think a lot of that comes down to the coaching. There was no really way to skirt around that, but...
Well, I can't lie. That was a good point there, Dara. But with that said, we're going to call it a draw, actually. For the segment, we're just going to say 0-0 to start the season, right? Draw?
Well, we'll let the jury decide.
No, I think truthfully I want it, but I want to be nice to you, and it's a draw.
Well, you can't.
We can call it a draw. Actually,
Somebody can't win.
Donnie, we're going to roll it to the trivia. We'll kill it there. Enough of her. Roll it to the trivia, Donnie. Thank you. I really wonder what the numbers were on the correct answers for that trivia question. I hope it really exposed the true U fans out there. But with that said, that has brought us to the end of the show today. I had a lot of fun with you today, Dara. But with that said, don't say aw, because I still worked you up in that take for take section, even though we're calling it a draw.
This man has sweat dripping from his brow.
Never that.
Never that. All right. Well, that's unfortunately all the time we've got today. It's been really fun. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with us this long. If you made it this far, you know where to find us. Same time, same place, every Thursday the rest of the season. CaneSport's Countdown to Kickoff. We'll see you next week. Thanks,
Have a great
guys.
day, guys.